Welcome to Cryptoperdiem. Hope everyone's having a good day or good evening wherever you are. Please like the video, subscribe, and share with your friends. Now, I've got an interview here which I found on the Paul Barron Network. He's done an interview with Matt Hamilton, who's the Director of Developer Relations with the Ripple XRP project. And I just want to pick a couple points out of this interview, but I suggest that you go and watch the whole interview. It's really good. Okay, but it goes into some of the things that I've been saying before. You know, a lot of people come into this space and they have this idealistic view of what cryptocurrency is and what it represents, and they're letting that cloud their judgment as to what is the better investments. I remember, like I said, going back years, you know, when I first got into the crypto space back in 2017, and one of my friends, he told me about Ripple and he described it to me as the banker's coin. And I noticed that there was a lot of, you know, among the crypto community as a whole, there was a lot of pushback or resistance towards Ripple because it was seen as the banker's coin. Okay, because there's this the idealistic viewpoint that cryptocurrency and blockchain is supposed to be something that frees the people from the current system, you know, that brings people freedom, you know. But the reality, as I believe it is that that's not the case. That cryptocurrency and blockchain is simply going to be incorporated into the system, you know, and the new system that's going to be, you know, created is going to be run by the same people. They're just going to utilize this technology for their means, but that doesn't mean that we cannot benefit or, you know, get some kind of value out of our investments by making smart decisions. So let me just play this interview and listen up.
Right. So, like I said, the XRP ledger was originally created in sort of 2011, went live 2012, and was originally developed by a trio of developers. Those developers, originally Bitcoin developers, then went on to form a company called Ripple. That's a company that I now work for. Now, Ripple's focus, so the XRP ledger is, like I said, it's decentralized, and its entire point is point-to-point, peer-to-peer payments without needing a central authority. So exactly the same use case as Bitcoin.
Right, because that was originally that's what Bitcoin was supposed to be, peer-to-peer payments. Now we can obviously see, you know, in 2021 that Bitcoin is not really good technology for that purpose. Okay, it's slow. All right, the transactions themselves are energy, you know, costly in terms of energy and are expensive. All right, it's not scalable. The list goes on. So Bitcoin is not really fit for purpose. That's why they had to rebrand it as a store of value. And as a store of value, it's not unique. Okay.
But the Ripple, the company, took a slightly different track to maybe what a lot of the Bitcoin community are working towards, and that is, rather than saying, okay, we need to tear down the original existing financial system, we need to try and transform the financial system. So Ripple has been working with.
So that's the key difference, and that's why Ripple had that, you know, negative image of being the banker's coin, because they're working with the banks to create a new system as opposed to working against the banks. But here it is, a lot of these Bitcoin people want they want institutional investors to come in and invest. It's crazy because they realize that on a certain degree you do need the system. You know, think about it.
Banks, with financial institutions, money transmitters, regulated entities, to allow them to use a decentralized permissionless network, which is the XRP ledger. So it's coming at it from a different angle, but it's ultimately doing the same thing to bring about, you know, a level playing field with peer-to-peer transactions. Now, in terms of development, Ripple are heavily involved in the development of the network, but Ripple don't control the network and they don't control the development. Ripple only run a few percent of the nodes on the network and only have a few percent of the voting power in order to enact new features on the network. So
it's key to a lot. That's another thing, because of, you know, Ripple has a large escrow of XRP. People like to say that, you know, Ripple is centralized, but actually the XRP ledger is completely decentralized. You know, you could also make an argument that Bitcoin is no longer decentralized because of so much of the Bitcoin mining is concentrated in China. And also with Bitcoin, the harder it becomes to mine Bitcoin, it actually lends itself towards larger and larger Bitcoin operations taking over, because it becomes pretty much, you know, what's the word? It's not profitable for the small miner. So you have to have larger and larger miners, which leads itself to more centralization, you know. So there's a lot of ways in which Bitcoin is obviously not the future. It was good at what it did, and it was good as an introduction into the technology, but there are other cryptocurrencies and blockchain participants which are just better at what they do and whatever the use case is going to be, and that's what you need to be researching. Don't get caught up in popularity, because this isn't about popularity. Ultimately, it's going to be about use case, utility, functionality. Okay, it's technology.
The XRP ledger has a decentralized governance model, and the validators of the network need to actually vote to approve any changes to the protocol or any new features that are brought in to the network. And there's a lot of developers out there. So there's a development company called XRP Labs, which is based in the Netherlands, for example. And they're working on an amendment called Hooks, which brings smart contract functionality to the XRP ledger. As I mentioned before, the XRP ledger was the first blockchain to have a decentralized exchange and allow tokenization. So a lot of the functionality that, say, blockchains like Ethereum require smart contracts for, the XRP ledger actually has built in as native functionality in the core of the network. So
and all these things is why I personally am so bullish on XRP. I'm very bullish on XRP, you know. All right, I'm very bullish on XRP because of the technology. It's simply because of the technology, man, and what it can do. All right, it's the future. It's going to be a big part of the future, and it's always good to invest in the future. That's where it's at. You don't invest in the past, you invest in the future.
You don't need smart contracts for that functionality. However, obviously, there's certain things you do need smart contracts for. And originally, Ripple worked on a project called Codius, which was a off-chain smart contracts platform. Well, Hooks is bringing smart contracts functionality on-chain. And like I said, is being developed by a completely independent entity in the Netherlands called XRP Labs, that are creating that as an enhancement to the XRP ledger, which should be hopefully coming later this year.
Beautiful, beautiful. Smart contracts on XRP. You also got the Flare network as well. So this is all beautiful, man.
So there's a lot of other companies that are working on things with the XRP ledger. There's companies like Coil who do web monetization. So the idea that your web browser can dynamically stream payment to a content creator. So you could be reading a blog post or watching a video, and literally as you are reading it or watching it, your web browser is sending, 1/100th of a cent every second you're watching the video.
And that's great. And I think that also BAT, if I'm not mistaken, that blockchain, that cryptocurrency is a lot to do with that kind of thing.
So that's a company called Coil that are working on that. There's another example. There's a company called Forte that are a gaming company, and they're using XRP and the XRP ledger within the gaming side of things. There's a company called Casino Coin that is working on kind of casino and betting and that side of things for the XRP ledger. So
yep, Casino Coin, another great project. So there's a lot of good projects building on the XRP ledger, which is all good in terms of utility, future utility, which is what we want.
There's a whole range of companies doing sort of different things. You might have seen recently that Ripple has made an investment in Mintable, and Mintable is a NFT marketplace, and you can mint NFTs on the XRP ledger as well. So that's
NFTs are big for the future for a lot of different reasons. Ticketing, certificates, you name it. NFTs, man, real big for the future. So NFTs on the XRP ledger, again, the technology is there. It has a great use case. That's going to bring adoption. That's going to bring utility.
It's a whole other area that's now kind of evolving as well. People moving into that area with the XRP ledger.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand the legacy of XRP and just how far ahead of everybody you guys have essentially moved, because you've had a chance to break it and fix it a lot of times, and really understand the pitfalls of developing on the blockchain. So all of those are very good use case scenarios. When you look at smart contracts, this is, I think, where the big rub is right now in terms of people understanding the differences between, say, an XRP, and let's go back and look at Ethereum and where maybe ETH2 is going to be going with smart contracts, and some of the other projects, whether you look at Cardano, who's rolling out Alonzo this year, this year, we hope.
Another great project, Cardano.
And then you've got Solana and even Polygon, who both have really kind of moved into this space. Kind of position XRP.
The thing is, let me say this, man, there's a lot of great projects. There doesn't have to be just one. If you look in the world, in any industry, there isn't just one dominant force in the industry, man. Most industries have multiple players. So it doesn't have to be one coin against another. Two coins can do similar things and still exist in this eco space, man. Especially when you got interoperability that's gonna come into play, you know. So you just want to make sure that the technology is sound.
In the middle of that pack, or maybe it's a completely different angle of where some of those alt projects are going. Can you kind of explain the differences there?
Sure. So what I would say is, I would say that the XRP ledger is positioned to be kind of like the best blockchain for tokenization, right? Tokenization.
And you know, on this channel, I'm hella bullish on tokenization. Tokenization of real world assets is the future. Everything's gonna go towards tokenization. That's why I'm so bullish on Polymesh by Polymath. Okay, and that's another reason to be bullish on XRP. Tokenization. You're hearing it right here.
Of assets. Now, as I said, the XRP ledger was the first blockchain to allow tokenization of assets, and there's been things like gold and silver tokenized on the XRP ledger for many years now.
Right.
Euros, US dollars, etc., etc. And other cryptocurrencies. Ethereum is actually tokenized on the XRP ledger. Bitcoin is tokenized on the XRP ledger. So yes, I mean, this is the thing, that the XRP ledger was so far ahead of most of the other blockchains. I mean, the XRP ledger existed before Ethereum did. Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, actually tried to intern at Ripple right in the early days. So the XRP ledger was so far ahead, but I think what has happened is that people are not aware of the functionality with the XRP ledger. As you say, we've had a chance.
That's because there's, like I said, this idealistic view within the crypto space has caused a giant cloud to be put over Ripple and XRP, where people just don't want to see the truth. They don't want to see how great XRP is, how great the XRP ledger is, and what it can already do, and the use cases that can be built upon it. Yeah, but eventually the people are gonna come round. Okay, and what does that mean for us? If you're invested in XRP, that could very well mean a great increase in value of your investment. This is something to consider. Is XRP, based upon the information that you're seeing, undervalued at this moment in time? That's a question for you.
Chance to kind of build it, break it, build it again. And in some ways, you know, I say this in the nicest possible way, but sometimes the XRP ledger is possibly perceived as boring because it just works, right? It hasn't got to deal with a lot of the big dramatic issues that, say, Bitcoin and Ethereum have to do. So Ethereum's moving to proof of stake. That's a massive thing at the moment that's taking up a lot of development time. You know, Bitcoin is building second layer solutions to fix the scaling problem. You know, the XRP ledger hasn't had to deal with any of those issues. So in some regards, it might be seen as like boring to some people just because it works, right? And so sometimes it's a little difficult to kind of say to people, hey, look, we've got all of this. We've been doing all of this. It just works.
Right.
So, and a lot of times as well, it's to do with terminology, right? The XRP ledger existed, again, before all of these other systems, and before a lot of the terminology within the industry existed. So the concept of stable coins and tokenization, the XRP ledger was doing it beforehand, but we called it issued assets, or we called it IOUs. We didn't call it tokens or stable coins, but it's exactly the same thing. Just we created a different terminology, and people are not necessarily aware that it's the same thing.
So we've watched enough of this interview, what I'm going to show, but I suggest you head over to the Paul Barron Network and watch the whole of this interview. It's very informative, and this is the kind of information you need to be consuming so you can make an informed decision about your investments. Okay, in this space, do not get caught up in emotion, do not get caught up in hype, do not get caught up in ideology. Get caught up in the technology, get caught up in the use case, get caught up in understanding, excuse me, in understanding what the barriers are to adoption, so you can see if those barriers can be removed. Like for instance, when it comes to Ripple and XRP at the moment, with especially with Ripple, you got the SEC lawsuit. That's a barrier right now. Is that going to be removed? You understand? So, I mean, I'm just trying to encourage you to think about things from a logical perspective and using critical thinking. Okay? And hopefully you can mitigate or minimize your risks and increase your gains, man, long term. So with that, have a good evening or a good day wherever you are. It's been Cryptoperdiem. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it with your friends. I'm out.